Hello and welcome to Walk the Talk Show with Waylon Lewis. It just started snowing here in Boulder, Colorado, and I'm coming to you live from Hotelephant, which is what I call my house, despite it having no daybed or accommodations for guests whatsoever. So today we're here to talk about the front page news of the New York Times. It's very sad, and it's a surprise to nobody who's been reading the news for the last couple of years. There's further rape allegations for Bikram, the infamous founder of Bikram Yoga, who loves to talk about his balls being made of steel or something like that, and famously wears a gold Rolex and black little, what do you call that, underwear?
Under Armour?
The little underwear, whatever you call them, the European men, Speedos, thank you, and has one of the greatest chains or of yoga studios. I guess it's franchised. I'm not really sure how it works in the world. Super popular. Bikram Yoga helped popularize yoga in America and around the world. So I guess where I came at this when I reported it a day ago is that this is super sad. I've had a lot of friends go through date rape. And in this case, sexual assault allegations. All of this is alleged. None of it's proven right now. So we have to keep it in, innocence before guilty in mind. But with that, there's many women have come forward, so it seems pretty clear that something has occurred over the years, repeatedly. And it's a very old story. We went through it with John Friend a couple years ago in the yoga community, where he was having romantic relationships with various students or fellow teachers. Obviously, there's a power dynamic, and in the case of Bikram, it seems like a lot of his encounters were with women who were paying to do teacher training. So there was probably some sort of there could be some threat of maybe them not completing their teacher trainings if he didn't please them in some way. Then I went online and I read a bunch of men's group stuff on Reddit. And I think, if we're coming from a feminist point of view, which is where I generally come from, we also have to come from a men's group point of view or just a human point of view. So they were basically making the point that if, he's a red-blooded male, he has a healthy sex drive, he's powerful, he's successful, he's wealthy, what's wrong with him having consensual sex with women? If it wasn't consensual, why didn't they come forward at the time? Obviously, it's possible to say, well, they felt like they would have lost their certification they were paying $10,000 for, or whatever. None of that's established. But I do think it's an interesting dynamic that happens again and again. I have personal experience with it. My mother was a student of Trungpa Rinpoche, who was a renowned Buddhist meditation teacher, established Shambhala and Naropa and all this, and she was very close with him through all the years. She was a beautiful young lady, and is now a beautiful older lady, and he asked if she wanted to be with him at some point, and she thought about it and said no. She would prefer to keep it on a teacher-student level, and they continued to be very close for many years, and she was promoted, as it were, within the ranks as a senior teacher and lama. And so I guess my point with that story is it's really a case-by-case basis, like everything in life. So I think on some level it's almost not feminist to say, well, these young women were taken advantage of. All of us need to encourage ourselves to say no and feel okay saying no, even though it's really hard. And if we're being forced into saying yes, obviously, hopefully before going to the hotel room of Bikram or someone like him, we need to report that. And if an organization that's getting kind of cultish won't listen to that report, then you need to go to the cops. So I've had a dear friend in the last while, and I've had many friends, as I mentioned, over the years go through being forced into some sort of sexual encounter, and it's pretty much the worst thing you can do in the world to anybody. And as I was saying to a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, rape is, in a funny way, one of the fundamental inspirations behind Elephant Journal, that we want to end that kind of aggression. It's taking one of the most beautiful, wonderful things, which is intimacy, sex, and turning it into one of the worst possible things, which is violation trauma. So just an encouragement to keep an open mind until there are formal charges with Bikram, but we all need to get rid of the kind of cult of personality that we all love. You see it at yoga journal conferences and at Wanderlust. People run after famous yoga teachers and, you know, basically worship them. And there's been someone in the yoga community who I can't report right now, who has apparently been very physically abusive and sexually promiscuous, if not abusive, with his students for many years. And he or she has written about it as well, quite openly, which doesn't excuse it. So I guess that's it. It's not a black or white situation. As my friend Ashley here has said, there's always three sides to a story. There's my opinion, there's your opinion, and there's the truth. So the truth is somewhere out there. But basically the truth is we need to come into our own power and create a culture that feels okay saying no and that supports people who are trying to say no. We need to stop worshiping others. Non-theism in the Buddhist tradition is all about retain your critical intelligence no matter what, like my mom was able to do. And if leaders in power are pushing themselves on others against their will, against their the other person's will, then obviously they need to enjoy the repercussions of condemnation, exile, and legal charges. So thank you so much. It's been a fun one.